Welcome in, everyone. This is another episode of the BadKarma podcast, and today we're talking about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Joining me are members of various affiliations like the 2K Next Makers program, the Borderlands content creator team, the Wonderlands content creator team. We've got TweetyExpert, Killer6, and Depriesticles all joining us. We all got access to the Wonderlands early access demo, and we're going to talk all about it. So, to kick us off, the first thing I wanted to talk about was what was the very first thing that hit you as soon as you started playing the games? And we'll start it off with Priest. Priest, what was the first thing that you thought as soon as you opened it and started playing?
Well, first, I really think I should premise this by I was very skeptical to a certain degree, but also really excited when I opened it. And I wasn't sure what to expect, but the initial reaction was, oh my God, this is absolutely incredible. The graphics were incredible. I started testing out immediately the different quality of life upgrades that we had in Borderlands 3 versus Borderlands 2, and saw that many or all of them were there, present, and available. And I honestly, my first impressions were, I was blown away. I thought, like, this is what I've been waiting for in a Borderlands game.
Yeah, that makes sense. The first slide and mantling and everything is always you just got to check it, because going back to older games and you don't have it, it's so sad.
It felt so good.
What about you, K6? What was the first thing that you thought about?
I was taken in by just the beauty of the initial, like, starting area. It's weird. It's very familiar yet different. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a Borderlands game, or Borderlands, centric kind of game, but it definitely takes things in a way that I didn't really expect. I didn't know what to expect necessarily, but I absolutely love it. So I probably put in more time on the demo than anybody else, and that's not really bragging. That's more saying I should probably get a life. But
I think
put in 100 hours plus. So
100.
I think I like
it.
So Tweety put in a pretty solid amount of hours too. She's probably the only one here that might be able to compete with your time. I had about just under 20, I think. Priest, what'd you have?
A 30 or 40, somewhere in that range, or somewhere between 30 to 40.
Rookie numbers.
And Tweety had.
I had two. Two.
Did she just say two?
Two.
20.
I was busy.
200 or
2,000?
Two.
two.
I got enough.
All right. Well, in your
it was lovely, and there's a lot of buttons to press.
in your massive amount of exposure to this game, Tweety, what were your first thoughts and impression of the game?
No, it's so pretty. And then, like, all of the different spells and stuff that the small amount of spells that I saw were a lot of fun. And yeah, there's just a lot of interactions that you could do compared to, like, other games. There's so much, and then the quality of life is there still, and it's lovely.
Yeah,
it is very pretty.
Grand
Karma, can I just say thank you for assembling this panel of experts on this game.
I curated the list very carefully. There was it was kind of like American Idol auditions.
Who's available? Who has a free Saturday?
I woke up early for this.
I brushed my hair for this shit, man. Come on.
Only the best.
I spent more time brushing my hair than Tweety spent playing the game.
Only the best for this community, Oh man. Well, knowing that they were utilizing a lot of the same engine as Borderlands 3, that was the first thing I did too. Is kind of like Precy is okay, run, sprint, slide, mantle, all that stuff to make sure that it had that same feel. The reload mechanic is one of my favorites in Borderlands 3, so I had to make sure that that was still happening in Wonderlands, which it was, which I'm so happy about. But the spells, the spells, as soon as I cast one, and
By the reload mechanic, do you mean the reload glitch?
yep, the game-breaking, wonderful mechanic that I love.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. But the spells were, it feels like, remember like the first time you played Borderlands 2 and you found a fastball and you threw it at an enemy and it just made them explode and you just were so happy. That's the feeling I got with the first spell that I cast. Is like I just had visions of grandeur of all the things that I'd be able to do with these things. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Oh, the sound design is so
I think
good.
it took me about 7 fastballs to hit my first enemy.
I mean, I didn't want to say that either, but yeah, it's my experience with fastballs as well.
Well,
However,
am
I the only one who looked for a grenade slot when they first opened the game?
probably they did talk about how grenades were being replaced by spells pretty early on.
Again, great panel. Good job.
It's going well.
It is going
I
well.
love these people though.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so going through the game and we had access to, so for those of you that aren't aware, we had access to one single area in the game. It's called Mount Craw. If we looked at the world map, it showed a 1% stat on it. So it's as if we only discovered 1% of the world that's available. Whether that's going to be accurate or not, who knows? But this one Mount Craw area had like, I don't know, what would you say, like 3, maybe 4 different biomes. You had like a little foresty area and these ice caves and the kind of lava caves that are there, plus the snowy tundra area. And we had access to like one kind of main it was all side missions, but one kind of main quest that went through the area, and then a couple other side quests. What were your Tweety, we'll start with you this time. What was your, since you got so far into it, what was your
She's like, I saw the starting area.
favorite what was your favorite moment in the questing that we did get?
The questing. Well, my limited amount of questing, I only got through the caves because I crashed afterwards, so I had to just do it again. But I mean, like the whole like setting up like all the propaganda and stuff. It's Borderlands humor. Like is all what we experienced. Like just the classic Borderlands humor. So I'm really curious to see what else is like all the different side quests and stuff. Especially if this is just like a main side quest. Like that's just crazy. Is that this whole area is its own little spot that you don't even have to go to. I'm curious to see what the other worlds are like.
Yeah, having this little side area, kind of like Electra City in Borderlands 3, was cool because it wasn't spoilery. You didn't get a ton of spoilers on main characters and objectives and missions that you're trying to do.
Not only that, but this being a completely optional side mission area, the area was big. It took me a long time to fully explore everything, and that's just 1% of the map.
Yeah,
three
fast travels in that area.
This game is going to be big. It's going to be a big game. There's going to be a ton of stuff to do, and I'm really excited.
Yeah. What about you, K6? What was your favorite part of the questing that you had access to?
I loved every single area, but my favorite area to go to was the area where we had the skeletons. I don't know, there was just something about that. It was like this huge ice cave, and I loved popping the heads on the skeletons. And one of my favorite, like most laugh out loud moments that I had while playing came from that cave. I shot a skeleton's arm off, and he literally goes, "I'm gonna need no more calcium." I about fucking lost my mind because it's just such a stupid joke, but it was like so unexpected.
It's very Borderlands, though.
Yeah, very Borderlands.
Like if people love Borderlands 3, they'll love this game.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Just taking it to another level.
Well, I've often in talking about this game, I've said the same kind of line over and over again, is that take everything you love about Borderlands 2 and everything you love about Borderlands 3 and mash them together.
Mhm.
It's so good. It is so good.
Priesty, that proceed with your favorite part of the questing. What it made you feel like that was as good as the old ones?
I'm going to take it a different route, actually, because my favorite part was the obelisk. I kept
Okay.
finding myself wanting to come back to the obelisk over and over again in every fresh run, and I would push it. Actually, I would delay it every time I'd start a new one, start a new run. I would delay it until like as late as I could, so I could try and maximize the loot that I was going to get from it, and also the challenge. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about the feel of Wonderlands, at least in this limited little portion that we got to play, is that it was challenging. It wasn't a complete cakewalk. There were several times where I was downed and in fight for your life, and I mean, frankly, in Borderlands 3, it
Save
was
your
just
soul.
it was never really an issue. Like you get in fight for your life, and it just seemed it was fun, but it didn't seem as challenging. In Wonderlands, there was a challenge to it. I ended up not being able to fight my way out of it a couple of times, and I was just like, oh, this is great. I love it. You actually have to think about it a little bit, and there's a challenge aspect to it. So I would say the obelisk was my favorite part because of the waves of enemies and how challenging and fun that was.
Nice. I'm pretty sure my favorite part was the quest with the non-violence and being able to seduce random characters. That was so good. And then the character of the NPC of Snack is my favorite of the whole demo that we got access to. So much so that I'm gonna have emotes made of Snack. It was great. I can't wait.
Well,
Snack was phenomenal.
Snack's the best.
That area was pretty cool. So the K6, the area with the skeletons, are you talking about the one that had like the Freezicles area, or the one with the non-violence mission?
Yeah, the one where you meet Snack and fall in
Yeah.
love and talk about your future and how you
And-
guys are going to join bank accounts.
And buy a house in a school, nice school area. And
Exactly.
Are we going to refer to that boss as Freezicles now, or
yeah, Freezicles. The
just change your name, please.
Depriesticles.
Yeah, you should maybe just go ahead and rebrand at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at this point.
probably good? And they already took care of all the artwork for me and everything.
There you go. Boom. Nailed it. Cool. Who found some pretty cool stuff? K6, you did a whole video on like legendary things. What was your favorite one that you found?
Well, you know, I managed to get more than 2 hours in on this demo, so I did find some
found
pretty
so
cool
much.
stuff. I did find some pretty good stuff along the way. I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that doesn't want spoilers, but I just want to say, without spoiling, the coolest thing that I found was very unexpected, and it felt almost like a reference to my use the fish for cover. That's all I'll say about it.
Nice. I found 4 legendaries total, I think. 4 or 5. The very first one I found was something that I felt they put into the game specifically for you, K6. Specifically for you. I'm 100% sure that it's your item and you just need to use it at all times.
Is it a melee weapon?
It is a spell
Oh.
that casts a thing that you love,
Oh.
especially when you're playing with other people.
Huh. So a spell that casts boobies?
Yes. How did you know?
Had a suspicion.
Yeah. What about you, Priesty? What was your favorite thing that you found?
Well, I found 2 legendaries, which, if we can talk about that for just a second, that it's not raining orange left and right. It really brought the feel to get those couple of legendaries to the forefront, and it felt really good to get them, which was a nice feeling for a change. But actually, my favorite weapon wasn't one of the legendaries I found. However, I did find a legendary melee weapon, and that one, I mean, it really changed the tide of that playthrough. That was a lot of fun. But my favorite weapon that I found was it was just a purple ×4 Hyperion SMG.
Mhm.
And it, in comparison, when you were viewing the item cards, it didn't seem all that impressive. But after equipping it and just shooting it in the general direction of a few enemies, it felt just like a double anarchy from BL1, and it was awesome. I really had a ton of fun with it.
Dude, the double anarchy from Borderlands 1 was one of my favorites in that game.
I think you're not alone on that.
That was
Yeah.
that felt so good. And I'm not the biggest fan of the combat and stuff inside of Borderlands 1, so finding something that you actually enjoyed using and playing with was like the best feeling in that game. Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, so there was a question about in the chat about echoes. So I asked if echoes are still in the game, and obviously we didn't get access to everything, so we don't know all the mechanics. But what we did find were a few different collectibles, and they were kind of like echoes, but they were scrolls. Did you guys find all the scrolls that were in there? I know K6 did, because he probably
I found every single
scoured
one.
Really?
Every single one.
Would you like to recount your favorite part of those scrolls that you found? Every single one?
Well, I'm just saying Jar is a very interesting character.
Jar's
I think we all can say that with certainty.
Good old Jar. We stand
Good old
Jar.
Jar.
Was there any other NPCs that you talked to, Tweety, at all?
Nope.
Oh, okay. That was the only one. Okay, cool.
Getting our money's worth.
Who is your favorite NPC, K6?
Ooh, NPCs. I mean, I love Jar, but Snack was great. I mean, I feel like me and Snack had a real emotional connection. So
Gonna share bank account?
yeah,
Hold on.
you know,
Oh, this
I'm trying to figure out when they're gonna start depositing their checks. But yeah, no, I would say
How much does the
Snack is
GTFO pay these days? Pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it a livable wage?
Well, I mean, it's like 1 gold per week, so
Oh.
not great.
I feel like Snack has been talked about a lot, for obvious reasons. So I just want to say, I just want to throw it out there that the first time I went through the Snack mission, I was just kind of nooming around and doing stuff, and towards the end of that mission, when you have the prompt to unseduce Snack, I didn't realize that was a button. And so I just walked out because he was effective, and I just button mashed, and I just kept going. And then I started to hear what Snack was saying to me. My heart got really, really heavy.
It gets emotional, man.
That was a really. I haven't been able to really sleep well since then.
Poor
I actually
Snack.
followed Snack. I actually followed Snack all the way back to their cave after that, and it just gets progressively worse and worse.
Oh, the cave, standing next to the cave was my favorite. I stood there the whole time. It was so...
Heartbreaking.
That was my favorite part of the demo. Like, well, okay, that one, and then the shade that was cast towards Mitsu
Oh my god!
was I immediately DM'd Tweety. I had no idea that she still had not launched the game at that point yet, but
Not at that point.
because I had been harassing her for a few days before then. But I immediately DM'd her and was seeing if she had gotten to that part yet, but she just ghosted me, so I never found out.
I never did see them.
But yeah, there looks like there's a lot. I mean, it's the Borderlands humor, so they're doing a lot of great stuff with their writing, and it looks like they're incorporating things from the community more so than I've ever seen, just from this one demo. So I don't know if you guys kind of saw or caught the same thing.
I noticed that actually. It was actually really prevalent for those of us who I feel like have been in the community for a handful of years. And I thought it was really neat. I thought it was phenomenal. You'd see the homage to the community that we know here on Twitch, but what I think a lot of people don't know is that Gearbox and 2K they're very active with that community, and it becomes very apparent when you start playing this game, or at least the demo portion.
This is just a small portion. It's still crazy. It's still crazy.
There's so little that we got access to,
Yeah.
and then there's so much more that you've seen from like Wonderlands account posting and the IGN stuff, and even that is just so little of what's actually out there. It's pretty crazy. I think this game's going to be a lot bigger than I expected it to be.
I think so. I think it's gonna be huge.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that surprised you, K6, during your playthrough?
Surprised me. I mean, obviously the various quality of life changes, like sliding into chests to open them, being able to slam just by jumping and slamming without having to have a guardian rank, things like that, and being able to slam open chests too is really cool. But the golden dice, the aspect of the golden dice was a really cool concept, and I feel like that's kind of like an answer for those who are like, I don't want drop rates to be so high. Cool, don't grab the golden dice. If you want drop rates to be a little bit higher, go find all the golden dice in an area. You'll increase your luck chance.
Yep, and there's a whole bunch of those collectibles challenges too, so you can continue to make your gameplay a little bit easier, a little bit harder, whether you're using the difficulty scaling of like the easier mode, or I guess relaxed, balanced, or intense for the 3 difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
But even on top of that, like they have a myth rank, which we didn't see. We saw that there's a tab for it, but we don't know what's actually inside of that. But then there's the other bonuses of, okay, you can put your hero points in or not. You can get the collectibles or not. It's really a kind of a customizable feel for each playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Priesty? What surprised you?
It's kind of hard to put into words, actually. And I've talked to a couple other content creators about this, but it feels to me like there's a certain charm to it that was really prevalent, and I think what made Borderlands 2 such a long-lasting game. Didn't really seem like it was there in BL3, and I think we saw a lot of division in the community because of it. To me, there was some unspoken kind of a feel to it that really felt very Borderlands 2-esque, and it really hit home for me that this feels like this is right here the next Borderlands game. And I think I've said before to a handful of people, I mean, did I say it earlier this time, maybe, that I was really skeptical going into this game. But after playing it for about 20-30 minutes, all that skepticism was gone. It feels so good. It feels so good and so much fun. I can't wait for the release.
Analogy I just now thought of is like when I heard about Wonderlands and that it was going to be like a spin-off of like the Borderlands franchise, I was like, okay, that's cool, but will it be good, like enough to make a full game on? And I felt that same way about Better Call Saul from Breaking Bad. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I heard that they were going to make a Better Call Saul TV show, I was like, I don't know how well that's going to work. And now it's like one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So this feels like that same way.
I haven't watched it because I had that.
Great. You should watch it.
I was excited for Wonderlands when I heard about it and what they were doing and all the little snippets of info they gave to us, but I didn't get extremely excited about it until I started playing this. And now that I have, I just can't wait for it to actually drop. I want it to come out immediately. I'm just so eager to get my hands on it again. When they took our access away from the demo, I was very sad. I tried to log in when it said it was not available anymore. I was like, oh.
I tried to leave it open so that it wouldn't I didn't even try to launch it again. I just want to leave it open. I'm thinking like, well, maybe they won't take it away from me if I just leave it up, and that wasn't the case.
Tweety, anything that surprised you in your plethora of hours?
Plethora. Swimming in hours. I'm just like the amount of buttons that there are in terms of combat that you use there's a lot. I press buttons on accident that I wasn't supposed to. I put spells on my person, almost killed myself multiple times in my short amount of time. There's just so much to do. There's so much in terms of like how you go like with combat. You can focus on spells more. You do melee. I'm really interested to see how melee is late game because I know they're not like super duper focusing. Because like although we're like level 9, you're really not gonna know how any of these are gonna be like if they're gonna actually be good, if they're gonna be like mediocre or even just bad. So really curious to see how that's gonna be late game or even just not even like super late like end game stuff, but like near ending like level because of course like scaling is going to be super. It's not, I guess, not super different from past games, but it's quite different still. And of course with like enemy regeneration in areas and everything like that, like you're not just gonna be able to just walk through every area like you used to.
Yep. You fell in love with the respawn station.
Dude, they're like little reapers in the boat, and they have the little lanterns, and they have the sigils on the back. Oh, it's so cute! I love them so much.
Well, speaking of melee and the buttons and everything included in that, and I've tried to hype this up a little bit because I am really excited about just this one, and it seems so simple. It seems so just like it's just a little detail, but I think it's going to make such a huge difference for people who like to play melee, like myself. The melee is on auto fire now. There's no mashing every time you want to punch something. You just hold down your melee button and you're just hacking away at whatever's in front of you, and it is phenomenal. It's amazing.
One of my favorite things is how there are actually melee weapons, and depending on the manufacturer, you have different styles of the way that you swing the weapon, different attack speeds, so you can have much faster melee weapons or much slower, more powerful ones. And then the weapon parts are a pretty big deal in this game, depending on if you get a hilt of certain kinds, you can leech health, or you can speed up your cooldown on spells or action skills and whatnot. And that part I thought was really cool. I'm excited for that.
You can have
like
attached to your melee now. You can have element leeches.
The way that your melee kind of like locks onto an enemy is a little weird to get used to at the beginning, but it's pretty nice after the fact that like you're not just gonna be whiffing everything.
Yeah.
That's the point. It feels a little funky at the beginning, but it's not too bad.
And the different kind of lunges that you have, whether you're like sliding and meleeing or you do melee strikes in succession and then you can lunge on certain weapons, was really cool. So there's questions in chat about end game content, and just a reminder, we have access to this small area starting at level 9. I think the highest level, K6, what did you get to? Like, did you get to 30?
No, I made it to 26 or 27. I'm not sure exactly.
So pretty small amount of what we got access to, and from what I understand, we haven't gotten any details about any of that kind of content yet, and we probably won't until people start getting to it when they play the game, I'm guessing. But it's all going to depend on what you consider end game content too. I was watching one of Quag's streams, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and he was talking with the community about what people actually consider to be end game content, because there's a whole lot of discussion about whether things in Borderlands 2, like the bosses that you could just go pay Iridium and fight for, like those raid bosses, are the end game, or if Digistruct Peak was the end game, or if all of it is. And then in Borderlands 3 are the slaughter shafts or arms race or the takedowns, all those different kinds of activities, what's actually considered end game content. So who knows what they're going to bring into this game. You guys have any
No.
theories?
All of it. And there's gonna. I don't know. I feel and I see just in the small demo just how much that Gearbox has paid attention to what the community has been saying. I don't know what to expect for Endgame, but I imagine there's going to be something, even if it's something small at launch, and then maybe more with DLCs. I don't know. I don't know, but I have a good feeling that there's going to be some pretty healthy Endgame content. I just don't know what it's going to be yet.
Yeah. People are putting some juju on K6 and hoping the Digistruct Peak returns.
You know, one thing that I've said that I thought that Borderlands 3 really could have benefited from was a Digistruct arena of past raid bosses. And I still
that would
say
be
that
cool.
the first game that does that is going to be like chef's kiss, but I don't know. I don't know how easy that is to implement as a game dev either. So probably not a matter of just clicking a button and saying, here's an arena, here's a bunch of bosses. But I would love to see, you know, obviously they're going to fully embrace like the Dungeons and Dragons kind of feel, the Bunkers and Badasses feel. So I imagine we're going to have some crazy dragon bosses. I'm sure we'll have some dungeon kind of things possibly. Maybe instead of calling them takedowns, it'll be like dungeons or something. I'm not
So
smart.
idea
creative,
man.
Basic. So creative.
I hope Murderland returns. I would like to see another
my
magical circle of slaughter.
That would be
I
fun.
doubt it. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. You know, it's interesting because like you say that because that's such a cool idea too, is being able to like generate those fights somehow. And I remember, you know, a lot of the community made mods in the games of Borderlands 2, like the enemy randomizers and stuff. There were a lot of the end game bosses, raid bosses, that they couldn't put into other parts of the game because they were very specific to their arena, like, you know, the Bloodwing fight, the Vora, there were some other ones like Warrior, you couldn't put into there. But then they would have, you know, randomly you'd be running through Sawtooth and you'd get Ancient Dragons fight because they could throw that one in there. So seems like I would hope it would be something that would be really possible, but that's such a cool idea. I like that one a lot. You better tell them about that. And if you've ever, I don't know if you ever like have any
I've
communication.
been yelling it till I was blue in the face, but I don't think anybody's doing it.
I don't know if you have any like
Gearbox,
lines of
Gearbox,
communication.
I want no credit. I want no money. It's yours. Take it. Run with it.
Cool. Anything else that you guys wanted to bring up that we haven't really talked about yet? Anything interesting that you saw that you kind of hope that you see a whole lot more of in the game?
Obelisks.
Obelisks.
Like Depriesticles said.
That's true, yeah.
Those things are awesome, man. I can only imagine like what kind of enemies we're gonna get from other obelisks and other biomes and stuff, you know?
Yep, the obelisk will be
There's
cool.
a lot of potential.
It seemed so much more challenging than everything else that was surrounding it.
Yeah.
And so I think they could really take obelisks and go pretty far with them. I think there could be some really maybe some exclusive loot tied to some obelisks.
That would be cool, especially if you can do them over and over. Obviously, we couldn't save quit, so we don't know if that refreshed the obelisk or not.
Right.
But it didn't respawn over time. I kept going to check just to see, because the enemies would respawn after, I don't know, it was like 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. So I kept going back to the obelisk to see if it would respawn, and it didn't. I was sad about that, but
You were hoping, weren't you?
I was.
And none of the bosses respawned at all. It was just the mobs.
Yep. So save quit farming will return, it seems. There was a question about combat and if the game, if it feels like they're diverting the focus away from gunplay more towards spells and melee. In my opinion, I think it's still very focused on the guns, but they're just adding more to it. So it's going to be a lot more options, a lot more versatile.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, you can cast while you're shooting. You can cast spells while you're shooting, and that feels real satisfying.
I think another way to look at it too, though, is that I think in previous Borderlands games where there was a very diverse amount of grenades, and we saw that there was maybe one or two characters that could really hone in on grenades and make those grenades really shine and have grenade builds put together. Take that in and put it under like a wide focus lens, and that's what you get with spells, where there is no grenades. You have spells now, but the spells are so diverse, and it feels to me like there's not a focus on the spells, but it'll make that gameplay much more enriching and seem much more in depth and full because there's so much more to do with it.
Yeah, and it ties in, a lot of that stuff ties in so heavily to the other things too. Like if you look at skill trees, there was a lot of, when you use a spell, you get stacks of more damage or reload speed or gun damage kind of things. And so it's definitely encouraging the other types of gameplay to all work in unison.
Not only that, but you could also use the spells to benefit a build in a way that grenades never did. Things like the new element, the black magic,
The dark magic one.
Yeah, and that you can get spells that are dark magic spells where they could, if you're going kind of in that direction, you can use your spells or what in previous games would be your grenade slot to improve on your build. And I think that's really cool. I think that's
I'm really curious to see how that'll be late game too, because the amount, like, I mean, health is so, we'll see like how much damage all these enemies do, because it's gonna be high risk high reward type of stuff, so that'll be interesting.
Did you guys use a lot of the dark magic?
No,
I messed around with it a little bit.
It's just
Much into it.
I honestly didn't. I didn't need to either. I didn't play so much on Graveborn. I was more on the Stabomancer, and things would be dead before I would need to heal, so I didn't bother.
Stabomancer was fun. Once you like figure out the niceness of the action skill and all the melee triggers and everything, it was so nice.
It took me a while to figure out that you can move the action skill, and once I figured that out, it was a game changer.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on the what's it called, the blade? What's that one called? I forget what it's called.
Like the stealth one.
Yeah, no, the yeah. So I switched to the stealth one, the Ghost Blade. That's what it's called. So I switched from Ghost Blade to From the Shadows, and once I did that, it was all over.
Oh, really?
Like,
The From the
this is
Shadows was the more powerful one?
For me, yeah, because I would get high fire rate weapons, or even if I just use like a Jacob's pistol, I'd just be hitting crits on any part of an enemy, and ricochets flying everywhere, and I think it was Depriesticles mentioned the ×4 Hyperions. Well, I got one of those on Stabomancer, and I was just like, everything on the screen just disappeared. That's amazing.
Did it feel kind of like a fadeaway thing with Black?
It felt somewhere between fadeaway and deception from Zero. So because all of your crits would, especially when you're using Jacob stuff, and I had some really cool Jacobs like full auto assault rifles too. But you would hit crits on like the bodies, and you just see like the ricochets going everywhere, like hundreds of ricochets going around and hitting everything on the screen, and it just felt really great.
So when I found that legendary melee weapon that I mentioned earlier, I was on a Stabomancer using the Ghost Blade.
And yeah, Ghost Blade gives bonuses to uses your melee weapon, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so I was when I booted up that run through, that playthrough, I was intending on going full melee and just seeing if it was going to be viable. That was kind of my main goal when I started up that one, and I ended up finding pretty early on a legendary melee weapon. And from everything that I could tell, I mean, not only does melee seem like it's going to be viable, but the option to have melee weapons and specifically that one legendary one that I found, I was one hitting most small mobs
It's
just
crazy.
with a punch, and that's something we haven't seen in other Borderlands games, especially early on. That was like level 10, and being able to just punch things and have them die without having a full entire build focused on it. It was really good.
Yeah, that was definitely something that I tested out. So I grabbed just a whole bunch of melee weapons and just went and did melee only for a little section just to see like, okay, melee attack speeds versus weapon types and stuff and like what I thought felt good. And when you actually had a decent melee weapon, it was awesome. It was so cool. The melee crits are awesome, and having the elements on there was cool. It just felt the melee felt better than it's ever felt in any Borderlands game.
Preach it.
Yeah. There was a question about, would you say all in all it feels like a Borderlands game, or do you feel like it's totally different?
100% yes.
Totally Borderlands game, but it has so many improved qualities of past games.
Yeah, just like they said, it definitely feels like a Borderlands game, but I think it's also going to have appeal to people who are more into like the fantasy kind of games as well. And having swords and spells and guns as well, it's like a really unique concept in general.
Do you think it appeals more to the like 100-hour player or like the 2-hour player?
Where'd you get those comparisons?
Oh, just
Where
just
you
throwing
pulling
them
those
out
numbers
there.
from?
You know, just
I
randomly
enjoyed
one.
my time very much. Thank you very much.
I think that's the beauty of it, though, is the 2-hour player has fun, and then the person that dumps 100 hours has fun. So I think it's for everybody.
I think that really also is going to depend on what we do see for Endgame. Regardless, though, if you're one of those types of gamers who really likes to explore, and maybe you're a completionist, and you like to do all these little side missions or get all the little collectibles and stuff, there's tons of that, tons and tons of that in just this one little map that we saw. But adversely, if you're one of the people who maybe just wants to pick up the game and maybe you're curious about it, you just kind of want to run through the main story and just have some fun with it, I think you can definitely pick this up for that same for that type of person can pick this game up and still have a lot of fun too.
Yeah, that's true. There's been a lot of talk about anointments. It was a heavily controversial topic about Borderlands 3. This game has enchantments taking the place of anointments. How many weapons did you guys find with enchantments on them? I think I found one
Tweety
or two.
didn't find any. Tweety didn't find a single one.
But I saw a lot of weapons, like all the communication and stuff. So I saw a bunch of like weapons.
You saw everybody else get them. I get
I
you.
saw everybody else get them.
Thanks for your
So
insight on
I
this.
still experienced them in their own way. But I like how they're not as crazy as they were in Borderlands 3.
Yeah, they're definitely toned down considerably with the stat numbers.
Yeah, I think I saw one that had like a 10% bonus or something on it.
There's only one enchanted item that I found, and it was not even very game breaking. I don't actually, it might have been, but it wasn't for any of the classes that I had access to.
Yeah, I was finding a bunch of other class things. Then I was like, one of the legendaries I found was one of the like armor pieces for a different class. I was pretty sad about it.
Yeah, that was my first. Of my 2 legendaries, the first one was for an armor piece for not what I was playing.
Yeah.
It feels bad, man.
What do you guys think about Valentine and Fret? Are you Team Val or Team Fret?
Valentine. He's an idiot like me.
I haven't formed too much of an opinion on that just yet.
Valentine's seduction tactics are second to none, though.
Yeah, but the intimidation tactics.
I'm
They
team
were so good.
seduction, frankly.
I know.
We got a question. How was the gold mini map? I'm not sure I understand.
Like
Gold.
the mini map in general.
Oh, yeah, the mini map has kind of like a golden appearance, is probably what they're saying.
Or are they talking about the overworld? We didn't get access to the overworld, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The mini map
Um,
had a cool quality of life feature. I don't know if you guys saw it in your settings or not. If you, for some crazy reason, don't want to see legendaries show on the mini map, you could turn that off.
I don't know what prompted them to do that, but I do like that it's an option.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was an option on Borderlands 3 as well.
Was it? I didn't
Yeah.
even notice. I thought it was
You
such a
didn't even
cool
notice?
thing they added. I was like, I'm not touching that.
The map looks distracting, he said.
It's not.
It's not at all.
Oh yeah,
No. It maybe when you're like a third when you're looking in on the gameplay, maybe it catches the eye a little bit, but when you're playing it, it really just kind of blends in.
There's
It's
so
not,
much else going on. It's
Yeah.
So okay, so there's a question about the loot luck dice, and this one is the dice in general are pretty interesting, but the actual question is, can you choose the increased chance drops from the golden dice, or is it permanent? And I want to say that once you get the bonus, it is permanent. But one of the things that I noticed in this build that we have with all the UI that we had access to, the character's loot chance was like a 10% stat that you had on your character's screen. And as you collected the dice, that stat never changed. But I also noticed in the journal, there's a challenges bonus that you get when you complete all of the challenges. And it was like 260 some odd dice that you have to collect around the world. And then that would give you a 20% bonus to the loot luck. So I'm curious if each individual die will give you a bonus and then you get that bonus on top of it, or if it just adds up to the 20 overall, or if you only get it when you collect all of them in the world. Do any of you know anything about that?
I don't know definitively, but I think that the golden dice luck is locked to that area that you find the golden dice on. Like, for example, this map that you're showing in the gameplay, there's 19 total golden dice.
Mhm.
If you find all of them, then your luck is increased in that area. And I imagine that's every time you come back to this area after that.
That would be interesting. So I went and collected all 19, and I just kept checking the stats to see if it would change. And nothing in the stat numbers themselves changed that you could see. But it's Borderlands. You know the Borderlands math is always behind the scenes kind of thing. So I wonder if that'll be the case on this.
there was also a prompt though that when you would collect a lucky die, that it would say your loot luck has increased because you've collected this lucky die.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. It doesn't. There's no static number. You can't see it in the UI anywhere. But I also don't know why they would have that prompt show up on screen if it wasn't something that would increase your luck, at least within the map that you're currently on.
Yeah. I imagine it would increase it each time you collected it, and it is a permanent thing. I don't believe you'll be able to turn it off.
For this specifically, I think I'm gonna have to either wait for more confirmation from 2K or Gearbox, or
Oh no, take a stand. Nope. You have to take a stand right now.
Right, my stand is that I'm gonna wait for the data miners to actually dig into those numbers for me because I'm tired.
How dare. K6, you believe this?
I cannot. It's like somebody only playing 2 hours of a demo that they have access to early. It's crazy.
Inconceivable.
It's fine. It's fine.
Defies all logic.
Almost like she has a group project, but she's the only one doing the work or something.
Almost like she has a life and a bright future.
Let's not go that far. Yeah.
Optimism.
That's a little much.
We're
I think.
escalating.
Especially the truth of it.
I was just thinking about something. Now I can't remember what the heck it was. Claptrap returns. Are you guys excited about that?
I love Claptrap's character design. I think it's brilliant.
It's super, super cool.
I liked his Obi-Wan impression.
I like his little wooden sword that he carries.
He's gonna do so much damage with that.
It's so hard just to be part of the group, you know.
Yeah, that was pretty good. He's just the commentary that Tina makes about Claptrap, I think, was my favorite part of the whole thing. Just her She sounds so disappointed too. I can't wait for that. I wonder if he'll appear in more areas, or if it's just gonna be this one.
He'll definitely be in more areas.
Yeah, I doubt it'd
100%.
just be one. That'd be crazy.
Mhm.
Imagine Claptrap's being just like a little baby character in one little main mission.
Imagine.
Imagine. Some people would be very happy for that. Some people would not.
That is true. That is true. So what was Priesty? What was your favorite? I know you mentioned the Hyperion SMGs, but overall, what was your favorite damage type? Was it the guns, the spells, the melee, action skill? Which one was it?
Ooh, that's really tough. That's a trick question. Because I have a natural affinity to want to go towards melee, and I did mess around with the melee a lot. And there was a ton of different changes to the melee, and the melee feels so much different than it does in any other game, and it feels good. However, the guns, especially the guns that have the crossbow attachments onto them, next level. Those it is so much fun to use.
Yeah,
So much fun.
I did find it interesting as soon as I found a shotgun with the crossbow attachment on it. I didn't expect to see that. I thought it was only going to be the pistols.
I don't think I found one. Either that or one didn't stand out to me anyway. The pistols were my favorite. The pistols with the crossbow attachments were just phenomenal, especially the ones from Black Powder. Jacobs just has always been kind of my default favorite.
Yeah, me too.
Manufacturer. I've loved Jacobs, which is now Black Powder in Wonderlands, or their equivalent. And yeah, the crossbow attachment on a Black Powder pistol is just, oh man, it melted everything. It was fantastic.
What about UK6? What was your favorite kind of damage type that you were seeing in this?
Well, just like Depriesticles, I found a Black Powder Jacobs with a crossbow attachment that was a masher, so ×5, and that carried me. I think I was like, I want to say I was like level 17 when I got that, and it took me all the way until I crashed my game by janking up my settings over and over. I was in, this is what it took for me to crash the game, by the way, just in case anybody's like, oh, he crashed the game must not be optimized. No, I was in the graphic settings and I was like switching everything, like, and then I'd go back to the game and I was like, okay, I don't see a difference, and then switch it all again. Anyhow, best damage type Jacobs.
I wholeheartedly agree. It was so good. Tweety, what about you?
I love melee stuff, but I know that it's not gonna be like super crazy focused, but you know, you gotta hope for some super crazy melee things, which, considering like some of the legendaries and stuff, should be interesting at least. And
That one
like,
legendary melee weapon that I found.
yeah, I'm curious to see if anything else comes of those, like where they're insane, but we'll see.
What's
I only
going?
found one legendary weapon outside of melee weapons. I only found like one legendary gun. How about you guys? Did any of you guys find any legendary gun?
No, I found a shield. I found a spell. I found an armor and a melee weapon for sure. Those are the ones I remember. I don't know if I found. Definitely not a gun though. I did not find any guns.
Karma, how many hours did you put in? Did you say?
Just about 20.
About 20. And in that 20, you found 4 legendaries. So I put a similar or a little bit more maybe, and found only 2 legendaries, and neither one of them was a gun. I found a melee weapon and some armor.
Yeah, they definitely surprised too when they dropped. It was sometimes it wasn't even like the biggest bosses you could fight. It was just like a regular badass enemy or something.
I only got 2 legendaries from named enemies in my 100 hours.
100
The rest was
hours.
all from badasses.
What's gonna be the first challenge that you think you do outside of playing all the characters and going through the campaigns and stuff? When you start to do challenge runs, what's
Melee
gonna
only.
be the first one? Melee only for you?
I can't wait.
What about you, Tweety?
Melee's gonna be good. Also, I'm curious to see with like spells. Like, how people. I know build makers are gonna go crazy because especially the RNG on spells is gonna be interesting. They're gonna be rough, but especially you could have a whole bunch of different ones and you could kind of flip flop between them. I feel like those are gonna be crazy too, like spell only.
K6, you got anything in mind?
I think everybody's wanting to try and do a melee only to start with because it's just so tempting. But I might go black powder. I might go a black powder allegiance early on. Just how much fun that was using those weapons.
Yeah,
I would love to do one where I'm just rocking the best of that.
I will be doing spell only, and I might not even wait to do it. I might just do it in my very first playthrough because I want it so bad, especially after looking at the spell shot skill tree. I want it so bad. My body needs it.
You know, one that I just now thought of by watching this footage that you're showing right now is a seduction only playthrough.
I wonder how many more opportunities we're gonna get. It better be a lot. It better be a lot.
All right, I have a question though for you guys. What of all the different types of spells that we found? There was a lot, especially you, Tweety. What was your favorite of all of the spells that we found, or that you guys had found?
I'll let you go first, K6.
Oh, okay. Well, toward the end, and unfortunately, I lost this footage because my GeForce experience decided that it wanted to record one of my other screens and not the screen that it actually had the recording symbol on.
Speaking
so I lost this footage.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I had this grenade that it was a cast and forget, but it was I can't even remember what it was called now. I should have taken a picture of it or something, a screenshot of it or something. But this thing was like I think it was like 200 damage times 4, and for a spell that was like really high inside of this demo. And when you'd cast it, it literally like homed in on enemies. So like regular mobs, they were just instantly dead from it. And most bosses, it was, or not bosses, but like badasses, it was like taking them to half health at least, right off the bat.
Wow.
So that was my favorite. I just really wish I remember what it was called. But I also like the meteors a lot as well.
Meteors are fun.
I like having the little pet hydras. They were so cute.
They were just so weak is the problem.
They were so weak, but they were so cute.
About it though is that there are in the skill trees and stuff things geared towards companion damage, and they count it as companions.
Yeah, that's true. My favorites were definitely the insta-cast. So anything that was not charged, not, hold to cast, or we didn't get access to the type of spell where it just continues to cast as you hold it. But the charge ones I wasn't a fan of. So anything that was kind of the insta-cast. And then I liked the hawk spells and the calamity style spells that were really cool.
I actually did. My favorite one was the whole charge and charge up spells, especially the ones that called down lightning from the sky.
I heard those were good.
Those things were outrageous. There was AoE, and there was just an outrageous amount of damage that came from those things. And even though they took a little bit longer to cast, I had a blast with them.
Yeah, I heard lightning. Lightning spells are crazy.
Yeah, I didn't find any of those style versions, or at least if I did, I didn't use any of them. But that just watching everyone else's gameplay on, they look very interesting. Did you guys see or pay attention to like the parts of the spell books and stuff? I don't know if any of you've watched Jolt's video on it, but it is top notch. Like the way that they've constructed these spell books and how you can see exactly what it's gonna do just by looking at it is awesome.
I did.
And Jolt's knocked it out of the park.
Dude, that guy's an evil, mad genius. So good. Yeah. So any final thoughts on the demo? Oh, actually, you know what? Before we do that, so start thinking about your final thoughts. But we did have a question about the max level in the demo. We didn't have a cap necessarily, other than the overall level cap, but we couldn't save. We couldn't save and come back. Once you got into the main menu or the game closed, you had to start over all over again. So you had to play everything through in one go. I'm pretty sure K6 got the highest. You said 27 before you killed your game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as the cap goes, that was that. So final thoughts on the Wonderlands playthrough that you got. We'll start with you, Tweety. What are you thinking? What do you want to leave us off with?
I'm excited. It's soon, so soon, and then we're all gonna be enveloped in the game for a long time. It's so excited.
Yep, exactly. This one's going to be, I think, a treasure for most. I have a theory that's going to be a lot of people's favorites in the franchise.
I've said that very same thing.
Yeah. All right, K6, what do you want to send us off with?
Buff snipers.
Yeah.
I loved everything about the demo, but snipers felt very underwhelming to me. And I'm hoping that Gearbox hears my pleas and makes them actually feel like snipers. Because right now they suck.
I'm gonna same thing.
And
about
Hydras.
heavy.
Yeah,
weapons.
buff the Hydras.
They're so cute.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys messed around with rocket launchers at all, but I had some just like shotguns and maybe a pistol or two that actually had bigger damage than some of the rocket launchers that I found.
Yeah.
I think I only found one launcher in all of my playthrough. Did you find much, K6?
Yeah, I had several, but I usually didn't bother with them. You get one for this mission that you're showing right now if you play your cards right. I'm not going to tell you what to do to get it, but
I think that's the one I've got. I think that was the one and only.
you have to do exactly the right things to get it, but it wasn't very good.
Yeah, I found several, and just every single one of them was very underwhelming. I found.
Yeah. There's a question about, was there anything that you could think of that was missing from the game? We got so little access that.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sniper damage.
Sniper damage, yeah. That's what I was missing. I found a really awesome black powder sniper with a bow attachment. I was like, oh, I'm going to go ruin everybody. And then 2 minutes later, I'm throwing it off of a cliff and crying.
Of course, there'll be a bunch of balancing stuff the first
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
while. So
Yeah.
Well, they made it very clear to everyone who played this demo that this was very early access. It's not polished. You're going to find bugs. You're going to find that things are not balanced properly a little bit here and there. And just to take that in stride. So I don't expect to see a lot of these similar complaints that we had in the demo that we will on full release of the game in 20 days.
Yeah, and even with that knowledge, it felt pretty much finished to me. I mean, there's maybe a couple of UI things here and there, but by and large, it felt really solid.
Yeah.
It really did. Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing that this was such an early build is very encouraging.
Yeah.
Feel just realistically, the only thing that I would say is just a little bit of balance, just a little bit of balancing between the weapons and everything else. I did really appreciate though that the enemies scaled with you.
Yes.
And the vendors.
Yeah.
And you didn't
Such
even
a
have
nice
to like
feature.
leave an area and come back. It was actively leveling with you when you leveled up.
Mhm.
It was so good. That's one of my favorite quality of life things. Like you might not think of it as a quality of life, but I do, and it was so good. That was one of my favorite parts.
I guess I can't
You don't
get super under leveled anymore, and that's gonna go bad.
or over
It's
leveled.
gonna go real bad now.
Now,
Yeah,
now your
under-leveling
gameplay
a
can't
little
have an
Oh!
excuse.
No.
When you get into an area, or when it's hypothetically, if you were to pick up a side mission early on in your playthrough, and then it chose not to do that until later on in your playthrough, it's not going to be one of those instances where you go back and you're out leveled by 20 levels and you're just it's gonna be a cakewalk and not even worth it at that point.
Yeah, I wonder if the mission rewards will be the same way. Because you know how like if you would pick up a mission too early and you couldn't go back after beating the main campaign when everything scaled up in the old games, you just kind of were stuck at that level for that mission reward. I wonder if it'll move with you in this game too.
Would be nice.
but I mean, time will tell.
Because that'll be great. That actually will be really nice. All right, so Priesty, final thoughts and feelings.
I just want to say that before playing the demo of the game, I was really excited. I was really excited for Wonderlands, and I had high expectations and met with a little bit of skepticism, as I've said. However, after playing it, I cannot wait for the full release. My excitement is amplified tenfold after being able to just get this little taste of it. And it's going to be it's just going to be incredible.
Yeah, that's the feeling I have now. Like I was when I heard about the game, I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, that'll be a fun thing, a fun little thing, and we'll play it for a while and go back to Borderlands 3. And as more information came out, I was like, oh, well, that's even cooler. You know, just kind of a little bit more excited. Actually playing it, I am extremely excited to play this. I'm actually a little upset that we don't have it now because I wasn't so excited, but now I really am, and they just kind of whet the appetite enough to where I'm mad that I don't have it. So that's where I'm at. I want those spells, dang it.
Yeah. I found that when I had time to sit down and play anything throughout this couple of weeks that we had access to the game, every time I sat down for any sort of gaming, I defaulted to wanting to play Wonderlands, even though I had already played it time and time again. It's going to be so good.
It's going to be very good. All right, everyone. There are links in the chat to all of these lovely people. Go check out their Twitch channels. Depriesticles, Killer6, TweetyExpert. Thank you so much for joining me on this. It was a blast to chat about Wonderlands and everything with you guys. Can't wait to friggin' play it. We're gonna have to do a playthrough together, by the way.
Shirtless.
Or 10.
Wake up at the butt crack of dawn.
Listen, you're way closer to K6's time zone than anyone here, so I don't want to hear it.
Still is not nice.
I don't want to hear it.
I'd still be in bed for another hour if it wasn't.
I still would. It's a weekend.
We'll go back to sleep. Jeez.
Yeah, you
No,
lazy bones.
I still have to finish my bagel.
You're gonna
It's not
finish your
like you're gonna
bagel?
spend
Are you
more than 2 hours on a video game anytime soon?
I still can't believe that. Oh, by the way, Tweety wasn't the only one with the faux pas here. Let's just call it like we see it, Priesty. How many times did you hit the record button?
I had more recordings than Priest ever had recordings.
Wow.
I was enthralled by the gameplay. Hit the button, all right?
I had more recordings of my blank screen than Depriesticles did.
Beat that, Priesty.
Oh.
So good. All right, well,
Thanks for having me on here with these experts.
Yeah, you know, you're in great company here. I just wanted to bring together the best and brightest that the Borderlands community has to offer. Members of the content creator team, all of them. You can't beat this level of expertise and wisdom and talent. You know, it feels like the decision when LeBron went to Miami with all those other superstars. That's what we have here.
Yeah.
That's what we've got.
You knew where the bar was, okay?
And we tripped over it.
Cut it!
Cut that.
Well, thanks for inviting me to do this.
Can we yell at Noel to fix this too? Or
Well,
Noel?
Noel, fix it! Fix it!
So
Love
good.
snipers.
All right. Are any of you streaming today? Tweety, you usually stream. K6, you got a day off, right?
I'm gonna go take a nap.
I'm gonna take a nap. Guys, go check out K6's Wonderlands videos. They're fantastic, especially if you don't mind the spoilers for the legendary video, because it's really interesting and I highly recommend it. Go check them out. Tweety, Priesty, you guys playing Dead by Daylight or anything?
Yep, going now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you want to survive?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'll see you over there.
Great.
All right, everyone, thank you for joining in. It's been wonderful. I appreciate the heck out of you. We're gonna take a quick, short little break, and then we'll play some Dead by Daylight and get some games with friends. It'll be a good time. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.